Hey guys, how's it going? Kripparrian here. So it's time for the third review of the Mean Streets of Gadgetzan cards that have been announced. This week was generally a focus on the, I don't know what they're called. They're the Warlock, Priest, and Mage cards, the Kazakus related cards, and they're pretty interesting. A few of them from the end of last week that didn't catch my last review. There's Knuckles, so 5 mana 3/7 legendary hunter minion. So basically, when you attack into something, it also does the damage that you dealt to that something to your opponent's face. And, you know, just by itself, it's a pretty strong card. The 5 mana 3/7 stat line is fairly unique, but 3 is usually about as good as you need. Like, the early game minions kind of stop at around 3, and the late game minions are generally a lot bigger. So if this had like 4 attack, it really wouldn't be all that much better. So it's a well-statted minion. If you can get like a in-your-hand stat boost, which hunters do have access to quite a few, being part of the Grime Street gang, it can be really insane in some situations. Now, it's very difficult to see whether this card will make the mid-range hunter list, particularly because the mid-range hunter is a pretty tight deck, especially considering that a lot of the cards that Hunter has gotten for the mid-range Hunter are pretty good from the Mean Streets of Gadgetzan expansion already. So it's difficult to say if it will really be that good, but I think it's a cool card. I'd like to see it. And we have the legendary from last week. It was released just after last week's review. Don Hancho, 7 mana, 5/6, and the Battlecar gives a random minion in your hand +5/+5. Obviously, this card is absolutely crazy strong. You generally have to favor at least like a mid-range to control style of deck to be able to play this guy. The effect being so big generally is better if it hits an early game or mid-game minion, or one that has a very powerful effect, and there's probably a number of those. So just, you know, the raw stats, it's basically like a 7 mana 10/11. That's huge. That's like craziest level of stats in the late game. So, you know, it definitely has a huge potential. I think all the gang bosses, this being one of them, will see some form of play, and I imagine this will be in a lot of decks. And we have Madame Goya. 6 mana 4/3, Battlecry, choose a friendly minion and swap it with a minion in your deck. So very similar to Barnes, obviously not exactly the same. You have to have a minion already in play, but you do get the full swap effect, so you get a real minion from your deck. And if you played like a Battlecry minion with a strong Battlecry effect, you could maybe get that again, you know, kind of dunking it in your deck. And there's not too many of those, but the effect is unique. It's powerful. I think it'll make some at least for fun decks, with the small possibility of making an actual like combo deck list. You know, it's super specific in what type of situation and deck it would be good in. But if you could find, you know, just like the one battle cry that you need to trigger constantly, and your deck generally has big minions, you could maybe build the deck like that where this card would be good. Overall, pretty difficult to fit in a real deck. Grimscale Chum, 1 mana 2/1 merlok, and the Battlecry gives a random merlok in your hand +1/+1. Now, the merlok style paladin decks we've seen are largely the OTK combo control paladins, so this is more of like an aggro paladin type of thing, and it's difficult to discount any 1-drop. Particularly because it's basically like a 1 mana 3/2 if you count the effect triggering and being played shortly after, or perhaps even on the same turn. But still, you know, at that point, you know, even if an aggro Murloc Paladin is good, is it going to be better than a lot of the other Zoo/aggro small minion based decks out there? And it's probably not going to be any better than Shaman, for instance. But who knows? You know, Murlocs are kind of like an all or nothing type of thing. And while they haven't really flourished in a long time, they have gotten quite a few Murlocs in the Mean Streets of Gadgetzan expansion. So maybe, we'll see. Maybe this will be all the rage. Then we have Leatherclad Hog Leader. My main issue with these cards is like, I don't understand, like, we have biker pigs in Hearthstone. Where are these, like the last time I saw these were in Duke Nukem, right? So How are they here? I don't know. It's just really weird. There's a few of these. You guys will see in the next few cards. Anyway, 6 mana, 6/6 Battlecar. If your opponent has 6 or more cards in hand, to gain charge. So if your opponent's playing a really slow combo or control deck, it's a 6 mana, 6/6 charge, which is pretty good. Probably not constructed level good, but should be a pretty interesting card in Arena, I think, if you do stumble across it a few times. I have another Hog guy, 5 mana, 5/5 this time, and if an enemy minion has taunt, gain charge. So I think this card might actually see some constructed play. The 5 mana, 5/5 is still pretty good, outside of just a handful. Not even a handful. There's very few good 5-drops out there. So if you're playing a pretty aggressive deck, and a lot of decks out there play small taunts, or shamans are still playing, shamans just naturally get a lot of small taunts, I can see this card sneaking into at least some of the more budget-oriented zoo-ish style decks. It's not a bad card. It should be, again, very interesting in Arena. In a lot of situations, playing a small taunt might actually cause you to lose the game rather than, save yourself some damage. So it'll be a pretty interesting play around, and I hope it won't have a negative impact. I hope, the occurrence bonus is high enough, at least in Arena, to where, it's smart, it's intelligent to play around a card like this, and your opponent is just waiting for that moment where you play a taunt to get through it with like a spell and then deal fate. There's a lot of cool little play arounds that can happen with this card, and I do hope they happen in a fun way. Then the last Hog guy is the common version, the 4 mana version, 4/4, battle cry if your opponent hand empty, gain charge. Once again, it being common, again, in Arena, you're going to see a lot of these, and you're going to see a lot of play around. So, if you're in that top deck situation and you don't have that much life left, it might not be better to play like if you draw just the garbage 2-drop in that situation. Often a garbage 2-drop won't make much of an impact in the top deck war anyway in Arena. So if you see a lot of these drafted and you're actually playing actively these 2-drops, it could actually be a disadvantage. So again, the Hog biker crap is just really, really stupid. I don't think these cards will see almost any constructed play, but it should create some fun strategic moments in the Arena system. So I'm looking forward to see what that will be like. And we have Potion, Volcanic Potion, 3 mana mage card, deal 2 damage to all minions. So not particularly strong as a standalone card. You have to compare the card to something like Demon Fire, I think it's called. So Demon Fire kind of does the same thing, except it's generally a lot better, because usually when you're playing Demon Fire as a warlock, you at least have a few demons, so you can manipulate the effect so it doesn't hit all of your minions as well. The mage deck type is very different, however. So while it's definitely, as a card, it's worse than Demon Fire, I would argue it's better than Demon Fire because it's a mage card. And mages, playing something like Freeze Mage or something, this card can be extremely powerful. It's closer to like Explosive Sheep if you're playing something like Freeze Mage. Explosive Sheep was actually played in the wild version of Freeze Mage at times. So, it can actually be a very powerful card. Then we have Cabal Chemist. So this is one of those triple class cards. It is a Warlock, Priest, and Mage card. And unlike all the other ones that just discover a card of one of the 3 classes, which is a pretty lame effect overall, this is actually pretty interesting. It is a random effect, though. It gives you random potion. We have not seen all the cards. We've seen just over half the cards from the Mean Streets of Gadgetzan expansion, so we don't really know exactly how powerful this effect will be, but a lot of the potions that we have seen are generally control cards, and a lot of them are board clear effects. So that can be a very powerful effect, and that can have a really big impact on Arena. Now, that might kind of suck. Now, when it comes to priests and warlocks getting board clears, it definitely allows you to play more effective and more interesting decks. But when it comes to mage having more board clears, particularly in Arena, particularly from the fact that this card is common, that might be a frustrating experience, though we'll have to see. In terms of constructed, I don't think it's good enough, but it's still really good. So I'd love to see this card make a few constructed lists. I'm just kind of a bit skeptical on that. Now this is the card I got to reveal for you guys. This is the Abyssal Enforcer, just to do a quick rundown if you didn't catch my original video. So it's a really powerful card, primarily for Arena. It's class card, common card. You're going to see so many warlocks with this. The main aspect that makes it kind of balanced, because obviously it's a ridiculously powerful card, but it kind of amplifies your lose condition in Arena. So in Arena, whenever you play against a warlock, you generally take maximum risk and just smash his face in constantly. And the reason you do this is because you nullify the warlock's hero power. So, even though it's a very powerful tempo plus board clear effect on turn 7, because it does 3 damage to the warlock, sometimes, and actually often enough, if you're playing a pretty effective tempo deck in Arena, again, you often are because it's Arena, the warlock will be already pretty low. So, it's not exactly like the best board clear, because that's usually what happens. Usually on like turn 7 as a warlock, particularly if you went second to that game, you're going to be on like, 10 life. So losing 3 of that 10 life might be a very difficult and costly decision in some games. In Constructed, having more and more board clears is always a good thing, particularly because the Reno style decks are probably going to survive, and this is probably better than most of the board clears the Warlocks already have. So more board clears, higher quality board clears, higher quality in the Reno style decks overall. We should see that deck take off a little bit more. Then we have Cabal Lackey, so 1 mana 2/1. The battle cry makes your next secret cost 0. So pretty damn powerful effect. Mage secrets are pretty powerful effects, but generally they're not like constructed quality power levels. So yeah, it's a decent 1-drop. Good stat line on a 1-drop, and it's very difficult to see. There's actually a few more secret cards I'm about to talk about in this review. So that kind of brings it together a little bit more. As a standalone card, if there was no other secret synergy involved in the new set, probably this card wouldn't really see that much or any play. But as you'll see in the cards to come, it might see some play. Inkmaster Solia. So 7 mana 5/5 Battlecry. If your deck has no duplicates, the next spell you cast this turn costs 0. So this is a really good effect. It's not particularly strong if you just consider the mage spells. Like even if you play something like like a 7 mana spell, you're getting a free 5/5. That's pretty good, but it costs a card, and yeah, it's on turn 7, right? And that's kind of like the best case when you first think about it. So, it's obviously a pretty good effect, but you have to weigh in the cost of the fact that you need to have no duplicates in your deck. That is a pretty big cost sometimes. Now, the part that really swayed me, that told me just how absurdly powerful this card really is the fact that Kazakus exists. So Kazakus makes it so you can get like a game-winning 10 mana, like 3-part spell, right? And that is much, much better than anything a mage would normally have. Basically, what I think the Kazakus deck will be like is, if you make it to 10 mana, you'll probably just win. So the Inkmaster Solia is a really powerful card because it has the same requirement of having no duplicates in your deck. And the other side is, it's not that, you just play a 10 mana card on turn 7. It's that you win the game 3 turns earlier. And yes, that's a pretty big deal when you're playing like a combo control style deck, which I imagine that deck will be. So it's a super powerful synergistic card, and I think it's actually strong enough to create that deck type. I think this card is actually crazy strong when combined with the other cards of the set. Potion of Polymorph. We have a new secret coming along. It's also a potion, so it can be discovered through some of the potion effects. And it's a secret. Again, keep in mind some of the new secret tech might see some play. After your opponent plays a minion, transform it into a 1/1 sheep. So, not a particularly impressive ability, but you have to keep in mind that there's a lot of ways to cheat out secrets. There's even new ways to cheat out secrets. And the idea is that it is a secret that generally will generate tempo on the board. So that's kind of the struggle. A lot of secrets are very powerful that mages have, but they're very situational, or they have effects that are too delayed. So the fact that you upfront paid 3 mana and did nothing until like 4 turns later, perhaps considering a card like Counterspell, that might actually cause you to lose the game because you had such a tempo drop in the early stages of the game where you really need that tempo. Potion of Polymorph, it is a tempo secret because your opponent just can't really do much without playing minions in most cases. So it's a powerful effect, and I think we'll see this card a little bit. Sea Devil Stinger. So 4 mana, 4/2 Merlok, Warlock card, and the next Merlok you play this turn costs health instead of mana. Pretty powerful card. Once again, Merloks are just all or nothing. Is going to be enough? Merlok, Warlock? I would think probably not, but who knows? It's an interesting effect. I'd like to see more of these because it's a very it's a very decisive type of mechanic. You know, paying health in a class that you actually need health to not only survive but also draw cards makes your decisions a bit more complicated than they would normally be in a typical zoo deck. Bomb Squad, 5 mana, 2/2, deal 5 damage to an enemy minion. Death Rattle, deal 5 damage to your hero. So in Constructed, it's largely just the perfect Sylvanas counter. It's also going to be a pretty gigantic nerf to Firelands Portal, because in some cases, as mage, he's going to Firelands Portal, and then he's going to get this, and then he might actually die from it. So that would be hilarious, and I very much look forward to those highlights, so please share those. In terms of Arena, removal and tempo is so premium that taking 5 damage, I think, doesn't actually matter. So I think it's a pretty powerful Arena card, and I think we'll see quite a lot of it. Backstreet Leper is just complete trash. There's nothing good about this card. It would be a bad 2 mana card, and it costs 3 mana. I don't know why these cards exist. Blood Fury Potion, 3 mana, Warlock spell, give a minion +3 attack. If it's a demon, gain 3 health as well. I don't think that's really powerful enough, but we'll see. I feel like, you know, the Zoolock type of deck just keeps getting more and more type of small archetypes. We had Blizzard trying to push the discard archetype of the Zoo deck forever. It finally happened, and now they're like, well, let's try making buff Warlocks a thing. So, I don't know. It's probably the start to a deck that is not going to see play for a while. Spellfire Potion, another board clear, another card from Warlocks that does damage to the Warlock's own face yet again. So very cool card, extremely powerful effect, but again, a costly downside. So I look forward to trying this card. I look forward to seeing other players playing with it. I think it's going to be one of those ultimate, like, risk-reward type of cards, and I just love to see these in Hearthstone. Plus, I just love to see board clears in general. Great stuff. Cabal Crystal Runner, so it's a 6 mana 5/5, costs 2 less for each secret you've played this game. So you have to play the secrets. They can't come into play through like Death Rattle effects or Battlecar effects or anything like that. You actually have to play the secrets yourself from your hand. Now, because of the secret accelerants in this expansion and cards like, Kirin Tormage exist, you can potentially play this for free on turn 3 along with other secrets. So the potential is absolutely ridiculous, but the potential of the existing Tempo Mage is also absolutely ridiculous. So, again, it's going to be kind of like an all or nothing. It's going to satisfy the same play style as the Tempo Mage, but I'm not sure all these cards can fit into the same Tempo Mage. So I think this card is going to make a Mage deck that's going to be very similar and basically compete for Tempo Mage, and either we're going to have Tempo Mage be basically the same and still be a really good deck, or this deck will be the new style, the new type of Tempo Mage. We'll have to see. It's, no chance of me telling you which one will win. I do think the traditional Tempo Mage will probably be a little bit better than the secret-based new-gen Tempo Mage. We have new weapon removal, 3 mana 4/3, Battlecar, remove 1 durability from your opponent's weapon. Just pretty solid stuff. Difficult to see this play over the existing weapon removal options, but it's more weapon removal options, and, seeing as a common card, it'll probably have a pretty big impact in Arena at least, though I'd say that's largely negative because the weapon classes are usually the ones that actually beat mages, and mages tend to beat everyone else. So kind of a negative card for Arena as a whole, but there's so many different angles with so many cards entering the expansion, and it's difficult to see how that will all get mixed up in the end. Priest Legendary, Raza Chained. Again, if your deck has no duplicates, your hero power costs 0 this game. So it has been confirmed that if you change or refresh or do whatever with your hero power, it will continue to cost 0. That makes the card better than you would think. It's just an overall really powerful card. Again, Because you're priests, you're probably playing Kazakus. So this card basically is going to have no cost, so you're just going to include it in your deck, which is going to make it extremely powerful. So it's an extremely powerful card, and you can just use your imagination on how you'd use it, really. It's just that simple. Very powerful card. And then lastly for the week, we have Jade Blossom. This card was kind of leaked. It wasn't really revealed, so we don't know what a Jade Golem is, but if it's just anything, it's a pretty interesting card. You get 2 mana ramp, plus you get something. And if you get something and the mana ramp, and you get the 10 mana refund to draw a card, and you still get the minion, might actually be better than the existing mana ramps that Druid has. So potentially a very powerful card. And I imagine next week being like the Jade Lotus week or whatever, we'll find out all about these golems and all the rest of the expansions. So hope you guys have enjoyed it. Hope you guys look forward to the next card review. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.